Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Hi, this is Diarthi with Tuesdays with Diarthi, but today is Wednesday. But I wanted to first of all say hi. I haven't been on in quite a while, and I wanted to take some time to kind of go on, say hello, check in with everyone, as well as see how everyone was doing. But also, I just completed a webinar on self sabotage. So I wanted to share a little bit of that as well. So, for those of you who do not know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Thearthi Reed, and I am a certified John Maxwell coach, speaker, and trainer. So, I help people to achieve goals as well as to just get over like inhibitions, fears, things that are keeping you or people from moving to the next level or moving forward. So we all have goals and things that we want to reach, and sometimes just having someone to hold us accountable, push us, challenge us, really helps us to move forward. So wanted to introduce myself saying that I haven't been on live since December, I want to say. Yeah, I think like the couple days before Christmas. And I have to tell you that my life has like went a lot of things have happened. And so I found myself, I had this plan that I would go live every Tuesday or at least every other Tuesday, starting with January. And between Christmas and New Year's, I lost one of my aunts. Like my mom had three sisters, and the last one passed away all of a sudden from a heart attack in January. And so what happened was that kind of caused me some, of course, some grief, but also was just a lot to deal with. And then right after the New Year, um, I was sick. I got diagnosed with COVID. And so that caused me to have to take a step back from things that I was doing, things at work. And so that was a big deal for me. But I made it through it. Thank you. Thank you, God, for that. And then the other thing that happened was that my brother, who some of you know, um, last year in 2021, in January, passed away all of a sudden from a heart attack. So I had that anniversary coming up, plus losing my aunt, plus being sick. It was just a lot. And so I found myself not wanting to go to do lives because of the fact that I just didn't know how to like get myself out of that where I was. But I also knew that I still wanted to help people. And so I've struggled with going live for the last since December, to be honest, and I've struggled with just all of these that I've been going through. But at the same time, January I did a webinar on I forget what it was. Oh, on procrastination. So in the midst of me being sick and going through grief and all of that, I had decided back in January that I would have a webinar that I would facilitate a webinar once a month. So every month, starting with January, I facilitate a webinar on something dealing with personal growth. So in December, I facilitated one on seasonal depression. So that one is really interesting because it's really for people who, and I struggle with this too, especially when it transitions from summer, where you have the longer days and it doesn't get dark to 9 o'clock, to winter, where all of a sudden it's like 5 o'clock and it's dark. I've always struggled with that adjustment. And so I didn't realize there was such a thing as seasonal depression. So as I started to research it, um, and through my John Maxwell, being a John Maxwell trainer and speaker and coach, I have access to great webinars and great presentations and all this information. And I always think, how can I help other people, on their journey of personal growth? So with that, the first one was seasonal depression, which covered like what are the symptoms of seasonal depression? How do you how do you how do you how do you overcome seasonal depression? What are things you can do? There are natural remedies to seasonal depression as well. So that was pretty much part of my journey, right? And then in January, I did a webinar on procrastination. So as we started going into 2020, it's a new year, and everybody, when it's a new year, decides that they want to do, what are your goals? Want to do a vision board? You want to achieve certain things. We all do that, right? And so, but we start on this great journey of all these things that we envision for us to do. But then what happens is we procrastinate. And I feel like I'm in that place right now where I just find myself procrastinating and I'm not moving as I would want to, because I find myself sitting on the couch watching TV or watching the show or watching a movie when I know I could be doing other things that I could be doing. So we talked about procrastination in January, way things that how to overcome procrastination, how to eliminate it from your life. We talked about maybe there's things that we just make an action, because most of the things that we need to do are based upon our actions. It's not, you can think, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna overcome this, I'm gonna take that step, but until we put one foot in front of the other, there really isn't anything to do. So it's a shift in mindset, because it's we have to move forward and we have to say and do it at the same time. So procrastination was the one in January, and then in February, which was last week, was breaking up with self-sabotage. And that one, really, all of the topics that I've done have hit home for me, and that's why I choose them, because I really want to help people grow and go to the next level, like I feel like I have in areas of my life. And as I learn information, I really want to be able to share it as well. So the self-sabotage one talked about what the symptoms of self-sabotage, what it is. And really all it really is us, like, not doing something out of this fear or a thought that we won't achieve it, or this mindset of I'm not going to make it, or whatever it is. Like, it's a mindset thing. And so through the webinar, we talked about changing our mindset. We talked about those things that we look at and we think, we make assumptions. Maybe it's we make assumptions what people think about us or people feel about us, and so we look at that assumption, we internalize it, and then that becomes our reality. And when the truth is, that's not reality. That's just our reality. And I don't know. I've been hearing that a lot. Like, okay, what is the reality, and what is your reality? And a lot of times, like, we say, oh, I want to speak my truth. We kind of do the same thing with reality. We're like, this is my reality, but that's not the true reality of the situation. So self sabotage has really was a really good webinar last week, and it really pinpointed like the change in mindset. And we don't realize how many things we carry from our childhood or even just from our past. So things that may have happened 3 years ago, sometimes some of us are still carrying those things. And then we enter a new situation, a new friendship, a new relationship, a new job. We carry whatever those things are to our new space. And then we have this false reality. So, and then we sabotage it because we have this false reality. So it's a big circle. So based upon those um, those 3 webinars, and based upon where I am in my life right now, I wanted to jump on and talk about fear. So, because I think this is very relevant to where you may be, hopefully. I know, and I want to share my journey. So, back in January, after I had came back to work after being off for a week with COVID, I had an opportunity to attend a leaders conference, a leaders summit for directors and above at my job. I'm now a director above, but we have a group, an IND group, and I was given the opportunity to come to leave where I am now, my city, travel to our home office, and be a part of this leader summit and be and represent this group called Zebras of African Descent to our company. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, that would be so amazing. I get to meet people that I've, spoken to, been in meetings with, but I haven't met face to face. So I feel like this would be a great opportunity. And then I immediately sent the message to my email to my manager, and I waited for him, and he approved it. He said, yes, you can go. And after that, I was excited. I was like, yes. And then about 2 or 3 weeks in, so now we're like the end of January, I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, do I really wanna do this? Do I really want to be in front of people? Do I really want to put myself out there?" And so I started having all these fears about just would people like me? Will they be like, "Wow, DRT, you look different in person," or will I fumble my words when I'm trying to speak to these like executives? Will I spill something on my outfit that morning and now I have things on? I have all these fears, and it almost made me step back. Like it took me a minute to even um, make my travel arrangements because I start to doubt if this is something I really wanted to do, knowing that the opportunity was great, but there was all this fear. And so, fear, and we've heard this definition, I wrote this down, fear is false evidence appearing real. So, it's the same thing with self sabotage when you're in that mentality where you just assume and you take on this false reality. So that's what fear is. And in the self sabotage webinar, we talked about fear being the driver of why we act the way we act. Why do we sabotage something that was good, or why do we um, have this false reality? And so fear is a big one. And so I think about the opportunities I have and then the fear that's attached to it. So one of the things that I started, and I think I explained before in 2020, was it 2020? Yeah, 2020 now. And I want to say August, September is when I started going live. And then December happened and January happened, and I kind of drifted off and I got distracted. I started doing other things, and then I came back in 2021. Well, one of the things that I have a fear of is being going live. So I'm just gonna be honest. I want to do it. I want to help people, but I fear people following me. I fear people, and not following me like physically, but I fear people like becoming attached to this persona of me. I fear like I don't know. I just have these fears. So it takes a lot of courage for me to come on and go live and share my heart, share my thoughts with an audience of people that have people I know and have people I don't know. So it takes a lot of courage. But I have decided to not let that fear dictate what I do. So, and I've decided to have courage to just say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do lives. I'm going to share my heart. I'm going to share things from the webinar that I did. I'm going to continue to do these live webinars once a month because I know it will help other people. And that's the part that I really want you to understand, that there are some things that you are supposed to do and supposed to be. All those things is who God created you to do and who God created you to be. But many times you're letting fear keep you from doing those things. And I just want to encourage you to not let fear keep you from doing that, but to be encouraged to really let go of it. And I know it sounds very easy to do, but it's not even a feeling. For me, it's not a feeling of, oh, I'm not afraid. It really is a decision that I made to move forward, even when I feel afraid. I can still feel afraid. I can still feel nervous. Like even going to this leader summit it's next week now, and I'm really nervous. So, but going there, I'm definitely will be nervous getting on the plane, getting there, and that I fly in, and the next morning is the summit, and I know I'm going to be nervous and maybe even have a little anxiety, but at the end of the day, I'm going to do it. Why? Because I really feel like this will this will help me. It will help my career. It's gonna get me in front of people that, never met me. So it's gonna and I get to meet other people in my IND group that I've never met in person, and I've only met on Zoom or on Teams. So my question to you is, what fears do you have? And think about that. What fears do I have? And then are those fears keeping you from um, going to the next level? Are they keeping you from succeeding and accomplishing goals that you have? Are they keeping you from really living your life? So, what fears do you have? And the other thing, what do I want to say? Yeah, and so two questions that came up in our webinar was, what are you afraid of? So what fears do you have, but what are you afraid of? So when you're in this situation where you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, think to yourself, what are you afraid of? And number two, what's the worst thing that can happen? So when I think of those questions, right, I'm like, you know what? What's the worst thing that can happen at this leader summit where I'm in front of, I get to meet these, directors and above from all over the world, and what sort of thing can happen? One is that I stutter. Like I used to stutter when I was really a kid. Like I probably was like, I think I stopped when I was probably about 10, 11. But I used to stutter. So the worst thing for me that can happen is that I stutter in front of someone who's a director or above. That would be very embarrassing for me. That's the worst thing that can happen. The other worst thing that can happen is that that morning I put on my clothes and I get coffee. And on the way to the Lear Summit, I like spill all the coffee, spill my coffee as I'm in Uber going to the summit. And now I have like this outfit on, and it's wet with coffee, and I'm supposed to be at the place at a certain time. That's the worst thing that can happen. Now, will that happen? Probably not, because I probably won't make sure I do not have a cup of coffee in my hand in the back of an Uber. I will not do that because I don't want to risk it spilling. And will I stutter in front of the directors? Most likely. That is like 99.9% of not happening because I haven't stuttered in many years, more than like 30 years. So I don't see that happening. And then the worst case scenario is somebody says, DRD, I don't remember you. Like, did we meet before? Did we have a meeting before? And somebody that I know I had a meeting with before, that would probably be a worst case scenario, but it's not that bad. Like somebody else remember me, because I have changed a lot too. So maybe that's why. So, but ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? And sometimes asking ourselves that means that we can, that will be okay. So fear is something that could push us away from the things that we want to accomplish. And I really just want to stress that fear rises its head in so many areas of our lives, and we don't really realize it until we take a step back and analyze our actions. And so I encourage you today to think about when you're in a situation and something happened and you really didn't understand why it happened. I really encourage you to take a step back and ask yourself what that kind of dissect it. Um, because if we can take a step back, for me, I journal, so I'll write down, what happened. And sometimes when I do that and I look at it, I'm like, oh, that was probably wasn't the reality of where it was when I had that thought or when I did whatever. I had this reality, right? But then when I take a step, when I'm done with the situation, I'm writing it down. Then all of a sudden I realize that, oh, maybe I overreacted, or maybe I assumed. So that is two things I would like you to do. One is identify your fears, identify those things that are keeping you from moving forward, keeping you from reaching your goals. Now it's already the second end of the second month of 2022. How many things have you accomplished? Like those things you said in January, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna achieve this goal. I'm going to, I got my vision board. I'm ready. What have you done? And when you look at your vision board, you look at your list of goals, or you look at your list of resolutions, think about what is it? Have I done anything? And if you haven't gotten closer to achieving any of those things, then ask yourself why. And then once you ask yourself why, you may get some answers that come out, but then also say, well, what am I afraid of? Because if you can say, if the answer, if why have I not achieved is not really an answer, you're like, I don't know, then maybe it's a matter of understanding that. So the other thing is to take a step back. So when things happen, take a step back and do some self awareness. Self awareness is really, really important in personal growth. If you're not self aware, if you don't not able to um, self aware and then correct your action, you will always struggle. And I don't know if anyone watches Married at First Sight, but I've been watching it this season. And one of the couples, one of the guys, husbands, he's very aware of his actions. So he's very self aware. And what happens is when he does something that's kind of, out of pocket as far as his new wife is concerned, and she brings to his attention, he pretty much quickly corrects. And that's such a great trait, to have when you're able to do that. And it seems like he's a person that probably put a lot of focus on personal growth. And so I would say the same for all of you listening, watching on YouTube or Facebook. Take some time and become self aware. Take some time and identify areas in your life where you want to improve, you want to change, but what's holding you back. And then also ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And what's the worst thing that can happen? So I hope that this video was helpful to you. Um, I want to support you and help you. So if there's anything you need or questions you have about coaching, or my monthly webinar. For monthly webinars, there's no cost. It's just an hour of your time. And if you are interested in attending one of those webinars, I do it every once a month on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central. It's not Pacific Saturday of the month yet because it just depends on my schedule, but I already have my webinar scheduled for March, and it's called um, being mindful in the midst of chaos. So it's about mindfulness and being aware, and how do you shut out all the things that are happening around you. And for many of us, that's either something going on in our um, day-to-day lives, that's our work, that's our families. Some of us are going through where we have, ill parents we're taking care of, we have family drama, like it's so much. So how do you protect your mind during this time when you're going through so much? And so Being Mindful in the Midst of Chaos is the next webinar, and I believe it is on March the 19th at 10 a.m. And again, the webinar is absolutely complimentary. My goal in offering those free webinars is to help people. And I feel like that is part of my mission, is to help, encourage, build up, challenge as well, others. Because I know for me, I've gone through a lot, in a short amount of time, but I feel like the reason I'm okay is because I focused on personal growth at the time when I was going through. So when I was going through my first challenge of in 2020, that's when personal growth became very important to me. And I definitely, took it to heart and I focused on it. And so now, even though I was saying earlier in the broadcast that I went through some things in December with losing my aunt, to January, getting COVID and being out of commission. So for like a week or two, and then the anniversary of my brother who passed away in 2021, all of a sudden, it was a lot. But in the past, that really would have taken me out. That would have just devastated me. But I see that with personal growth, I've been able to be okay. I've been able to remain stable. I've been able to not get caught into that, and to not to be caught into all like express my emotions, but not to get caught in the emotions, or to think that this will never get better. Because if you dwell on that, when things happen, you dwell on it, you say, man, this would never get better. I This is it, life is gonna always be like this, always gonna rain, it's never gonna be a sunshine, then you stifle yourself as well. So as I get to the end of the broadcast, I want to remind you to keep growing, keep going, and keep moving forward. And um, I want to do more of these. So pray for me that I can, that I will just move forward and continue to have these go live on Facebook and YouTube on a consistent basis. And that's my prayer. Like if I can't do it every week, at least I just think I should be able to do it every other week. But let me know if this is helping you. Let me know if this is like you have questions that, or a topic that you want me. That may be cool, right? So maybe a personal growth topic that you want me to talk about. I can do some research, and I love to, talk. And if you're interested in my monthly webinars, just send me a message on either Facebook or YouTube, and I will send you the link. You can just register. Once you register, you'll get the Zoom link. And I look forward to seeing you there. But for now, today is February 23rd, 2022. I hope that you have a wonderful day. And I hope that you have a very just meaningful time with your friends and family over the next couple of days as well. So enjoy, but keep growing, keep going, and keep moving forward. Bye for now.